Preview tomorrow's Total Energies AFCON 2025 Major 3 qualifiers against Madagascar here in Casablanca. After 4 days of preparations, especially the last two, where you had a full house at your disposal, do we have everyone physically ready for tomorrow's match?
Everyone's been working hard in the few days we've been here. Like you said, the last couple of days we've had a full house. There's a couple of players who physically, picked up a couple of knocks with their clubs in the last sort of round of games. You can't avoid that, when you've got a squad like we have, where the majority of the players are starting for their club sides, they're important players for their club sides. The nature is that last weekend, you're always looking a little bit nervously to see if anyone picks up little things. There's a couple of little things there that are influencing the selection and maybe who we start, who we'll bring off the bench. Everyone's available to play. There's a couple who maybe aren't quite able to do 90 minutes. But over the two games, we know we've got enough sort of weapons in the team to go out and get a good result. So we're pleased with where the squad are, but yeah, we've had to make one or two sort of considerations based on just little knocks. Nothing too serious, but just some small things that they picked up in their last club games.
Now, having begun our campaign with 1 point after 2 matches, of course, it must be stated that the Gambia deserve at least 4 points from those aforesaid matches. Based on what we've shown. We'll be at the halfway point of the qualifiers tomorrow in Major 3. How are we going to approach tomorrow's game?
I think very much like we've approached the previous games in terms of going out. We want to be really positive. I think the minimum that the supporters back in the Gambia would demand is, 11 players and the guys coming off the bench who play with passion, who play with desire, with big hearts for the Gambia, and ultimately put out their best performance in that Gambian shirt. So I think that's the minimum that the supporters demand, and that's what we can always promise them, that we'll put a team out who will represent them to the best of their abilities. And look, we want to go out and play football. I think we've showcased over the last sort of 4 games in the 2 windows that we're a team that want to go and play the game. And, I appreciate you saying that over the last 2 games, maybe we deserved more points than we got. But, football is a bit of a cruel game in that it very rarely gives you what you deserve. And so you've got to go take it by force a little bit. And so we want to play good football tomorrow, but we also know that we have to, we've got to take it. If we want it, we've got to take it. And we're looking forward to the game. We believe Madagascar, in a similar sort of position to us in the group, they're going to come with everything they've got. But if we play to our maximum, we expect a good performance.
Coach, in all the 4 previous matches that you've coached, they were all competitive matches. And the next 2 as well are equally competitive matches. And because there's a lot at stake in competitive matches, unlike a friendly, you cannot go for trial and error. You have to go with the tested and proven. Now, you must go with the players that you think are the ones that are ready to deliver, the results in each particular match. Of course, match situations differ. Now, of course, there are players who will be called and they wouldn't play due to the aforesaid reasons. But everyone here has been well motivated and they are all showing smiling faces. How do you do this by keeping everyone in the group motivated and happy, whether they are playing or not?
I think largely a big part of it is, being honest with people. We're going to stop. It's all right, stop. We'll come back. Or we're live, aren't we? I think ultimately it's about being honest with people. Some of the guys come in and whether it's their first time in camp or whether it's their last time in camp, it's about being honest with them and about letting them know where their sort of position in the squad is. And that gives people, targets to aim for. They know what they've got to do to get into the team. And so, I think people knowing where they stand within the group, knowing that if they perform to their maximum, they're going to get given their opportunity to play. I think this helps with that motivation factor. So, it's a good group of guys. They come in, they work hard. They're very proud to put on that Gambian shirt. And so, it's a good group and it doesn't take a lot from me to motivate them. They're motivated themselves to be successful for the Gambia.
So how do you foster leadership within the team? What qualities do you look for in players to take on leadership roles on and off the pitch?
I think a big thing for me is, everyone always naturally looks to the people who get to wear the armband. But what we want is leaders throughout the team, on and off the field. Guys who we always talk to players about, we invite them to be player coaches almost, that everyone can be a player, everyone can learn, but everyone can also be a coach. They can teach something to somebody else. And so it doesn't just have to be from a head coach or an assistant coach that sort of mentorship, that learning can occur. If there's a player that sees a teammate of his maybe doing something that he shouldn't be doing or feels that he can give him some advice, we like to empower the players to do that. And look, it's a step-by-step process because some people find that awkward because they've never been asked to do it before, to help mentor other people within the group. But yeah, I think the guys have taken to it really well. And so we've got a lot of people in the team, regardless of whether they're a senior player or a junior player, regardless of whether they've got 50 caps or 1 cap, they're willing to take on that responsibility of leading and of guiding the other people in the team.
Now, the importance of the next two matches against Madagascar cannot be overemphasized. It looks like the Red Scorpions are ready to sting, aren't they?
Yeah, no, I think everyone can see that we've been building up. Every performance so far over the last sort of 2 windows, the last 4 matches, has improved each time, I feel. And we're ready to take that next step. And, we really believe that, it's all coming together nicely. And yeah, this weekend, tomorrow, is the day that we hope everything comes together for a really good performance and a really good result.
Coach, another thing is, before you took over this job, many Gambians were calling for a more attacking football from their team. And I remember, in your presentation and the subsequent interviews that you grant to the media, you talked about this, having even spoken to the players. You know that amongst them, generally, the feeling is they think they should play more attacking football. Now, since then, we have seen that your coaching philosophy is very much in line with some of these things that you said. Your teams are credited for their press, intensity, aggression, and discipline. And this has been applauded by many during your signing ceremony. And at the end, the majority of Gambians are happy with the attitude from the players, of course, from the coaching perspective. However, we've seen that the players aren't necessarily translating such dominance into goals, even though they've been creating numerous scoring chances. What do you think is responsible for this, and how do you want to fix this?
Well, I think it's important also to look at, the 2 windows a little bit separately, because obviously we came into the first window in June and we actually scored 7 goals in the 2 games. So I don't think anyone was coming away from those games thinking we were not being clinical in front of goal. Yes, there was some other chances left out there, but we were reasonably happy with our goal return. Maybe there was another couple we felt we should have converted. We came into the last window, and whether it was just maybe that sort of tension of wanting to get off to a good start. We had very little preparation time in the last window as well. We only had 1 training session of 1 hour with the team in its totality on the day before we played Comoros. So again, when you have that limited time together, getting the connection going again, getting those passing combinations, that relationship, just the timing, it's difficult. Whereas when you have 3 or 4 days, you naturally are able to get that cohesion much better. And so, yeah, I think that's really it. We're really pleased this week with the process the players have went through. We're really pleased with, the development of the training sessions, the tempo, the intensity of the training sessions, the atmosphere and competitiveness within the group. And so really, sometimes it's maybe not the answer that everyone likes, but sometimes it's just about time. It's about time together. It's about time, developing the group. And yeah, we're confident we'll take chances when they're presented this time around.
Well, I mean, before 2021, Gambia never qualified for AFCON. But then we have made 2 successful appearances. Now, Gambians have now taken this for granted, that we must qualify for every tournament, even though there are 54 countries in Africa and only 24 can make it. Does this put the team under a little bit pressure?
I think the answer to that has to be yes. When there's an expectation versus maybe previously where there was no or less expectation, I would say all Gambian supporters have always wanted to win, but if we go back 10 years where the nation had never been to an African Cup of Nations, whilst it was a hope, it was probably more of a hope than an expectation. Whereas now, definitely having been to the last 2 competitions, there's a real expectation with the quality of players we have to continue to go. But like you said, in the same way that Gambia upset the odds in some people's eyes to qualify 4 years ago for the first time, there's other teams are looking to do the same. So whereas Gambia 10 years ago maybe weren't on a lot of people's radars, there's teams who are about to poke their head up now and make their way to the African Cup of Nations, maybe for the first time ever. So we've got to be cautious about that. We've got to understand that just because we won prizes in the past, that we had qualifications in the past, doesn't earn us anything today. That's not a currency that we can spend today. The currency we can spend today is hard work, is that team ethic, is that quality. And if we bring those things about, we can hopefully repay the loyalty of the Gambian supporters and take us to a third African Cup.
Mm. We've also seen that in the last two matches, we have conceded goals from direct free kicks. How do you intend to address this, especially when those goals were unavoidable, usually coming even when we were dominating possession?
Yeah, well, it's one of the things that actually sort of extends long before the last two windows. If you look back over the last 2 or 3 years, Gambia have conceded more set-piece goals than most teams. Even when we assessed it, and we go back to June, we conceded 2 goals, but from deliveries, so from a corner and from a wide free kick delivery. And we came into the last camp and we made a big point of we need to be cleaner in defending balls crossed into our area from set pieces. And I think we did that really well in the last camp, because any deliveries from corners, any deliveries from wide free kicks for Comoros or Tunisia really didn't trouble us. We dealt with them effectively. The problem in the last camp was we weren't as organized as we could have been on direct free kicks. And again, we've made a big point of that in training this week, both in terms of the goalkeeping department and their link with the defensive department, just in terms of how quickly and how we're getting organized in those moments. And yeah, I think we're making progress on it, but it's definitely an issue that we need to solve, because you cannot concede set pieces in most of your games, because it's in essence giving the opposition a 1-0 advantage. So we know this, it's something we've been working on, and yeah, I'm confident we're going to do better in these games.
Coach, finally, I know you always have a message for fans back home. What is your message to them this time?
I think the message is very simple. We know what you as a Gambian supporting public want. You want a team who go out and first of all work extremely hard, who play with passion, who play with a big heart, who play with determination and pride in the flag. But also you want to combine that with a team who go and play football and ultimately who win football matches. Now, sometimes you get 2 out of 3, but for us, we're looking to put all of those things together and bring back, 3 points from this Friday, and then we'll move on to the game on Monday. So we're going to go out and do everything we can, and rest assured, it'll be a Gambian team that you're proud of.
Thank you, Coach.
It's
always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much.